And welcome back to another edition of the 5-Star Podcast of Wrestling. It is episode number 51, nearing the near anniversary. I'm your host, Sean Meyers, joined by Justin Lowery, coming to you on a Friday night. And Justin, we have a lot to discuss this week. I know it's a little bit later than when we normally do the show, but I thought it was really important that both you and I got together because we're coming on the heels of the final pay-per-view leading up to WrestleMania Fastlane. That was on Sunday. I was at Raw in Pittsburgh on Monday. There was a lot that went down, good and bad there. And then Tuesday, SmackDown as well. It seems like we're now finally to the point where seemingly pretty much everything is in place. Now, there's still going to be some developments on how everything unfolds. But I think right now, at least behind closed doors, WWE knows pretty much everything that they're going to do at WrestleMania. Do you get that feeling?
I would hope. I guess we're going to find out Monday who Angle's opponent is at WrestleMania. And another big question is what they're going to do with the SmackDown Women's title match, because no matter what they do, it seems to be a very underwhelming storyline or match, period.
Now, let me ask this. When we talked last week about was Fastlane necessary, I think you and I both said no, it's probably not. They could have very easily not had the pay-per-view and just had things unfold on TV, or maybe did a little bit more at Elimination Chamber. That being said, when you watched the show, what was your reaction to it? I personally thought it was a very entertaining in-ring product, but I thought that the storyline development was really lacking, and once again goes back to sort of the confusing, illogical developments, but that really didn't take away from the in-ring action. I can very easily separate the two, and I thought Fastlane was that type of night.
Yeah, the in-ring action was, nice and good. Most of those shows are, even when you think they're going to be bad going in, the wrestlers still put on a decent in-ring performance. I still think it was unnecessary. Nothing happened there that really mattered to me. I guess the only thing you could say is Shane finally turned on The Miz, which was a surprising. Everyone thought it was going to be the other way around. You could have easily done that on SmackDown, though. Once again, WWE with their zigzag booking, I don't know. It seems to be left, right, back, forward. It's very, I guess it's keeping us on our toes. They're clearly trying to give us swerves or things we're not expecting.
Well, the Shane Miz thing I thought was cool because it was the complete opposite of what 90% of people saw coming. I think everyone knew there was going to be a turn.
It was going to be The Miz turning on Shane. It's different. The last time Miz played the face, it didn't go too well for the character. I'm not sure how they're going to handle that. I liked it.
But everything else in the predictions that I'll show was sort of exactly how we thought it would play out, at least the end result. Maybe not exactly how it went down, but we pretty much knew who was going to win each match before the show started.
There wasn't going to be any giant title changes so close to WrestleMania. There really never is.
And you're okay with that, it being a little more predictable, just to make sure that they get the right things in place?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. It still wasn't necessary. I watched, but it's just another reason to, I guess, tune into the network.
Right. Yeah, we know since the network has come to be, pay-per-views a lot of times don't have as much meaning as they used to, but why not watch it? It's free, basically.
I'm paying, my $10 a month, and I'm going to watch it. They don't really put on too much original content on the network anymore. Here and there, but I pretty much watch it for the pay-per-views.
So let's look at the predictions, and you and I, Justin, we deserve a pat on the back. Now, it might say something about how this pay-per-view unfolded, but we both got every prediction correct for the matches that actually went down. Now, there was some changes, but Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, well, that actually changed to a triple threat. We both went with Daniel Bryan. We both got it right. Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. We knew Becky was going to win, we thought. She did. The question was how it was going to unfold, and ultimately what ended up happening was that Becky Lynch won via disqualification. The Shield, I think that was pretty easy to predict. The Usos, also very easy to predict, them retaining the titles. We knew that breakup was coming. The Raw Tag Team Championship, I had a little bit of doubt, but you and I both correctly said the Revival. Asuka versus Mandy, another one that was pretty obvious. Same with Sasha and Bayley against Nia Jax and Tamina. So all of those we got right, and I don't think we really went out on a limb on any of those predictions. We did both pick different results for Rey Mysterio versus Andrade, but that match never happened. So I can't really base it on that because they ended up making it a fatal four-way. So you can't go with the prediction that we made for a one-on-one match when two other people were thrown in. The winner ultimately was Samoa Joe as he retained the title. R-Truth was also involved. And then they threw together another pre-show match that ended up being pretty pointless. Nakamura and Rusev against the New Day. So seeing how we got the predictions right, what would you grade this pay-per-view?
Wow, that's tough. That's a tough. Ooh, that's real tough because I thought the in-ring work was pretty good. I mean, a couple of matches were insignificant, but the way everything was booked left me confuzzled. That's a different word to use. For me, I'm gonna go. I'll go B minus for the mainly for the in-ring work. I mean, I think Becky's been cold off a little bit to me.
Yeah, that's
just been just idiotic. Even what's going on with Daniel Bryan and Kofi, they've taken so many turns and stuff we've seen before.
Those two storylines are kind of too similar, right?
They're way too close. And honestly, yeah, we'll get into that when we talk about SmackDown a little bit. And even though the Shane, like, that was a surprise, I don't get into Shane matches too much anymore. I don't feel like, it's WrestleMania, so I have to see Shane McMahon wrestle. I don't. That's just a personal opinion of mine. He's gonna do
it's better him and Miz than like him and AJ Styles from a couple years ago, right?
That was a total waste of AJ Styles to me.
This seems like an okay spot for the Miz, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a high-profile match. It's Miz has his reality show now on the USA Network. It's just a way to get himself out there more, promote. Yes.
So I liked how that unfolded, and that really kicked off the night in a good way with Shane turning on the Miz, and they did it really well in front of his dad and everything. Nice little swerve, kept things interesting. But some of the other bigger matches, again, Becky and Charlotte. We knew that Becky was going to ultimately end up making it a triple threat. You were worried that they were going to try to extend this further and really even make it more complicated. Well, it turned out to be kind of logical with Ronda coming in and attacking Becky because Ronda wants to beat Becky Lynch and Charlotte. That said, everything before that was just, very mediocre. And Justin, how many times have we said that the knee injury storyline was going to make that match? I mean, these ladies really didn't have a chance to put on a classic match. I don't think that was what they were calling for. Yeah, this was simply a match to progress a story.
Yeah, they weren't going all out there. We've seen them go all out before, and it delivered. This was just to go out there for a couple minutes and progress a storyline. Thankfully, it looks like Becky's done with the crutch.
She threw it away.
She said so on Twitter. She came out on SmackDown, even still with a limp, but without the stupid crutch. I thought it made Becky look kind of weak winning by a DQ. Like, it makes sense. I get where they're going with it. But you couldn't have Charlotte, I guess, lose to Becky for like the third or fourth time.
Right.
You couldn't afford that. They booked themselves in a corner. So then you have Ronda just come out and do. They booked themselves into a corner, and we went 1,000 different directions just to have Ronda come out and cause a DQ.
It almost seemed like on Raw and SmackDown, they're sort of just like, you know what, let's forget about all that happened. Let's just focus on the three women and go forward with that. Now, they still are doing Ronda, the reality thing, and you and I sort of went back and forth texting about this. When she came out on Raw, she cut a similar promo to the prior week and said, like, I could destroy both of them. Wrestling is fake, but I'm real. The whole thing sort of confuses me because her saying wrestling is fake, so on and so forth. Well, doesn't that mean that all of her matches are fake as well? When she went 20 minutes with Ruby Riott or Natalya or Alexa Bliss, women that she seemingly could have destroyed or should have destroyed, what are we taking away from what they're doing with Ronda, right? I know it's getting her a heel reaction. I get that. But does it work for you?
I honestly don't care either way. Some people are really up in arms about it, but kayfabe has been dead for a long time. No one under the age of 8 thinks wrestling is real. So, you're not breaking any ground. they want to get a heel reaction, which they are. I think they're trying to play with the fact that she's trying to say, if I wanted, I could break your arm. I'm a legit fighter, blah, blah, blah. I do this to entertain, but at the end of the day, I can kick your ass. I can kick her ass. Brock kind of goes about it in a different way. He doesn't come out blatantly say that it's scripted. He just goes along. And we've actually seen Brock actually legitimately hurt people in the ring done on purpose. Script like Randy Orton,
right?
Was coming. Ronda
with the elbow,
hasn't gone that far yet in the ring like that. And I think they're just trying to make her seem more dangerous.
How do you buy into any obviously storyline type scenarios in the future if you're also buying into Ronda saying that wrestling's fake, though? You know what I mean? It sort of undermines everything else that the company tries to do. Even though, to your point, 90% of the fans, or at least 75% of the fans, realize what they're watching. It's like a movie saying, this movie's fake, but I want you to also really be into it.
Well, I mean, I go to the movie theater, and I like the Marvel Universe. I go see the Avengers. I know it's not real. I know going into it is fake.
But the movie itself doesn't point that out.
No, I mean, you've had movies and TV shows in the past that somebody looks at the camera, breaks the fourth wall, talks to you, like Saved by the Bell. I grew up watching Saved by the Bell. Zach Morris would always talk to you through the camera. I mean, it can be done. It has been done. To me, it doesn't upset me. And two, it seems that Ronda's going to be gone shortly after WrestleMania.
Do you still think that's the plan?
I do. I do think. It seems that way. I know she's not on the poster for SummerSlam, if that means anything. Dean Ambrose isn't either. So maybe people that are leaving. She said in the interview she wanted to start a family soon. She's been with the company now, what, 2 years?
No, it's. I mean, her 1 year in-ring anniversary is Mania. It's been that quick already.
Has it been? Oh,
yep.
Damn, okay. See, I feel like she's been around almost.
Now she's about 15 months when you consider her debut at the Rumble.
You're right. Yeah. So I mean, I think we'll see her again, but as a full-time, every week employee, I think she's about done.
So they're going forward with that triple threat, and it's probably going to be the main event. In all likelihood, it will close out WrestleMania. One thing that has sort of been a little confusing over the last couple weeks, but I think we kind of get the idea now exactly where it's going to end up, is the SmackDown title picture. So it was going to be Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens at Fastlane. That was made because Vince puts Kevin Owens in over Kofi because all of a sudden Kevin Owens is Vince's boy. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. Nonetheless, would have been a cool match. I think people were behind it. Then, during the show, they tease Kofi's going to be in it. The crowd goes nuts. And then Kofi's not in it. He gets beat in a handicap match. But they say, hey, it's still a triple threat for the WWE title for SmackDown. So we have Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens and the mystery third person. Well, that person turns out to be Mustafa Ali. So, again, logic completely absent here. Vince really shouldn't care about Mustafa Ali at all, and he puts in two faces into this match. The problem is, those guys went out there and they tried to tear the house down. The crowd was already sort of checked out, so it's great for Kofi Kingston. It sucks for Kevin Owens, and especially Mustafa Ali, because he sort of got the, like the Rey Mysterio Royal Rumble reaction? No offense, it had nothing to do with Mustafa.
No, not at all. It was strictly people wanted Kofi, and he got bad positioning.
It's a bad spot to put faces in, right? I mean, put a heel in that situation.
Especially somebody who's new and he's trying to make a name for himself. If you put somebody who's already been around for a couple of years, has his spot, okay, they'll bounce back.
Like a Mysterio or something.
Right. Could this really hurt Mustafa Ali? Maybe. I mean, you could have damaged him for good. I don't think that's the case. And if you notice, I thought they got the crowd back a little bit towards the end. By the end of the match, I think the crowd started to appreciate the work all three guys were putting into the match because it was an awesome, amazing match. I really enjoyed it. Like you said, logic-wise, it made zero sense. Mustafa Ali even came out and did an interview saying he heard the boos. He kind of knew going out that he was in a tough position. He was going to go make the best of it. But he also said he enjoyed that by the end of the match, he had people cheering him.
Which is what the 205 guys have been used to doing for a long time. They have to win over the fans in the match itself.
I hate it. Kofi storyline. How many months ago the McMahons came out said they're done with this stuff, blah, 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 blah. We've talked about this. Here's Vince McMahon playing like it's 1997.
How would you have had it unfold? Just curious.
Well, you took him out. Just keep it the one-on-one match. Don't even act like you're going to add him. It's just more like, here we go, because it's going to cool off Kofi. I mean, I get tired of it. Now, on SmackDown, he comes out, he demands, and now he's going to be in this gauntlet match. And it's building towards Kofi getting in the match at WrestleMania. But by the time he gets there, I'm going to be so exhausted by the way he got there. People complain about Roman and Cena. They're the Supermen. If Kofi wins this match, if you complain about how Roman and Cena are booked, and how you're a hypocrite if you don't complain how Kofi's being booked, because then he's going to be being
Well,
booked.
the only difference is this is 2 months of this happening for Kofi as opposed to 5 years. But I agree with you. They could have done the same thing and gotten the same reaction without rubbing it in our face. So instead of Vince McMahon taking Kofi out of the match at Fastlane, why not all along just say, hey, our number one contender is Kevin Owens. And fans are going to realize, well, that's crappy. Kofi gets screwed. And then you go forward and have Kofi earn his way in, but not in an over-the-top fashion where the fans are going to be behind this guy, but you don't have to make it so blatantly over the top and stacking the deck, as we've liked to say the last couple weeks.
It's just nonsense to me. And then on SmackDown, you have him calling a B-plus player. I just heard this 5 years ago with Daniel Bryan. And I know it's supposed to be some irony that Daniel Bryan's calling Kofi a B-plus player. I get that. But, dude, you're rehashing the same crap.
I can't get past Vince supposedly preferring Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, and Mustafa Ali over Kofi Kingston.
Right. Cause
it's not. You could have picked Randy Orton. I mean, that's a guy that clearly Vince does favor over.
Right. And Kevin Owens is supposed to be a face, I think, right?
Yes.
So, and then 5 years ago, they're saying Daniel Bryan's a B-plus player. They don't want him. Now he wants him. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It makes no sense.
You will be happy if Kofi gets the one-on-one match and wins at Mania, though, right?
At this point, if he doesn't win, I think it's going to be a crappy letdown, right? Because the build is that he's going to win.
I still think at some point the New Day is going to turn on him, but I kind of like your idea, have him win the title and then the next.
Have him, hey, Big E got him up on the shoulders. Xavier gives him the thumbs down, and the night after WrestleMania, they could do something like that. It would be fresh. I think this is more like a career achievement award for Kofi.
Right, which is fair. I think most fans are cool with something like that. Hey, there's...
Crack up when Roman, when Roman came, Randy Orton came out first in the announcement, because I thought they were actually going to reference the stupid from years ago, because that's the first thing I thought of when Orton came out, but they kind of disappointed me and didn't reference it.
Let's talk about Raw. In our hometown of Pittsburgh, I was in attendance. Thank you, Elias. And there was a lot that happened. I don't know that I necessarily love the show. I know you were not a very big fan of Raw.
Yeah, I drifted out on it.
Let's start with how the show ended. Drew McIntyre now back to getting a monster push once again. He was getting one for months. They stopped it. They made him look dumb for about 2 months. And now it seems like they've made up their mind. Hey, we need him for a big match at Mania. Let's give him the push again. He takes out Roman Reigns and then destroys Dean Ambrose in a match. Couple questions. One, why not have this Drew McIntyre through all of January and February as opposed to now trying to have to scramble to get him back to a prominent role? And two, this seems like it's going to lead to him and Roman, but what's the future of Dean Ambrose after the beating that he took on Raw? Because I totally took that as this could be a way to write him off, but I don't know for sure what's going to happen.
No one does. I mean, if he really is leaving, you don't need to worry about his future. It doesn't matter because he got a couple weeks left and he's done. So there is no future. And I mean, I thought for a couple weeks he was coming back because of the Shield stuff and everything, but then he's still losing match after match, which most people do on their way out of the company. So I guess he is leaving. And if that's the case, I don't know if he'll wrestle WrestleMania. They say his contract's up in April. Is it April 1st? Is it April 15th?
I would think they would make sure that their contracts end late enough in April that they don't get into a situation where a guy could have that contract expired days before Mania. That just seems like bad business.
You would think, or they extend a handshake deal or extension
Right.
a week or two,
Right,
or a
right.
per match, basis. Like, hey, give us 5 more dates and then you can go. I don't know. I mean, I guess Roman defending, Ambrose, that's an easy way to lead to a match. Maybe Ambrose is in Roman's corner I don't know, to finish it up. I honestly, I don't know. I guess we'll know more after, Monday night, for sure.
Do you think that that's a good use of McIntyre and Roman at Mania? Because I'm actually okay with it. It would have been
I'm
better
okay
than
with
something with Corbin.
But here's the thing. Actually, at least Corbin, though, Roman wins. Corbin's not going anywhere. You hear that they love McIntyre. They need to push him. They pushed him hard. Then they stopped. Now you're pushing him again. And if he goes out and just loses to Roman, what does that really do for McIntyre? That's not really making him seem like a threat to anybody. So, I question that.
I guess it comes down to, would you rather have a big match and lose at Mania, or have a lesser match and, not get it beaten cleanly or win?
What do you think matters more, the victory? Or
I would always take a match with Roman at WrestleMania because I feel like that's a big spot.
maybe if it was the main event, but this is going to be in the middle of the card.
Right, I get that, but it feels bigger than McIntyre going up against just about anyone else.
But I would also assume that the match itself might be like 10 minutes.
Right.
I would assume Roman can't still go 100% yet, right?
I would agree with that. So you alluded to Kurt Angle, and of course in his hometown, and there's a hometown theme that we'll get to in Pittsburgh. He comes out and he, cuts a promo, and it was sort of like teasing a special announcement. Remember a couple weeks ago, Kurt Angle seemingly was going to retire, and then of course it was you interrupted, and then I challenge you to a match tonight. I don't like that stuff, but it felt more legitimate and more personal and heartfelt on Raw when he came out, and I think they basically said, hey, go out, talk to your fans, just make sure you plug that you're going to have your final match at WrestleMania. Kurt Angle did that. We did not get any indication of what that match will be. So, couple questions once again. What match will it be for Kurt Angle? Who are you picking as his opponent? And is it going to feel significant to you because Kurt Angle really hasn't been a marquee guy in this comeback run?
It will not be significant to me. We're from Pittsburgh. We've known about Angle forever. I've seen his terrible news,
Okay, Corey Graves.
Yeah, but I like my claim to fame with Angle, though, is my mother was him and his first wife's bridal consultant. So that's my claim to fame. And when I worked at
Karen,
Hollywood,
right?
yes.
Now Karen Jarrett.
I got his autograph when he took his son on the merry-go-round.
Nice.
So that's my claim. I have, with Angle. Angle hasn't been good in years. It's actually very hard to watch him wrestle.
But is he really any different than like Triple H or The Undertaker or whatever, who get these huge matches?
You've seen, you guys on this show have heard my reactions to Taker. I think Triple H still has a little bit left. He's not at that level yet, but he's getting there. But Kurt, even watching him walk, his knees look painful.
Right.
I think he's 50 now. He's broken down. He's one of the all-time greats in the ring. It's just, even watching him wrestle against Apollo.
Props to Apollo for taking those suplexes, making him look like $1 million.
Apollo did whatever he could to make Angle look okay, and I don't know. You get Apollo's not on TV much, but hey, Apollo, today you're gonna go out and have a 5-minute match with Angle and make him look as good as you can. Take the L. Oh, okay. And he did it. Yeah, he did a great job, and he actually seemed, honored maybe to have that match with.
Right.
That's great. That was just a show of respect. I don't know who he's going to choose. Me and you went back and forth. I came up with the idea of John Cena, for the simple fact everybody knows Cena's career got started with ruthless aggression, coming out challenging Kurt Angle. Might be a fitting way to send Kurt Angle off, since Cena apparently is going to be at WrestleMania, but he can't really show up on Raw because he's filming a movie. So without not needing a storyline, it's going to be John Cena. There you go. Originally I thought maybe it would be Cena Samoa Joe because they kept name dropping.
Well, I think that storyline from my perspective is still intact, and I'm thinking that's going to make way more sense.
It might, but then to me, who else makes sense for Angle? To me, John Cena makes the most sense.
Do we think it will be a one-on-one match, or do they care that little about Angle that maybe he'll just get thrown in something,
No, it's going to... Give respect enough to Angle, make it a one-on-one match.
I agree. I'm just asking, do you think that they will? Because he's wrestling against Apollo and Baron Corbin on unadvertised matches on Raw. They don't treat him like a star.
Who knows? Maybe the opponent will be somebody really stupid. Or I do like the idea of an NXT call-up. First match,
okay.
And then you put over a young guy. Like, comes out, faces Angle, beats him, retires Angle.
Velveteen Dream.
And that's his claim to fame for the next couple months. He could come out, cut a promo, how he retired the Hall of Famer Kurt Angle, blah, blah, blah. You could do something like that.
He could be the next Fandango.
Right. What about, they had a plan for Lars, and then he had his panic attacks. If he's okay, do they try to put it back in that moment at WrestleMania? Lars would be a good person to beat Angle if you want to go that young NXT guy route.
But that's probably not going to be a good match, right?
No, but is it, whoever it is it really going to be a good match, or is it going to be more of a thank you Angle? It's not going to be a 5-star, 4-star, probably even a 3-star match.
I guess I understand how the wrestling business works. I don't want to see Kurt Angle decimated and just like what we saw Drew McIntyre do to him. I don't want to see this last match play out like that. I want it to be competitive, and at the end,
I would even be good if it was Chad Gable trading wrestling holds, but I think Gable isn't high enough on the card to get people's interest there.
So, Justin, my suggestion. What about a person looking for a match? What about Elias? So you have Elias. There's no doubt he deserves something at WrestleMania. I don't think there's anyone that watches wrestling on a regular basis thinks that guy should be relegated to a very generic performance or something like the Battle Royal. They have the Pittsburgh connection, but more than anything, you have a up-and-coming heel who needs a WrestleMania moment and a guy who's clearly going to put someone over. They both are looking for something to do. I know Elias personally would like that opportunity, and I get the feeling, because Elias's promo was cut short on Raw, but he was supposed to put over that WrestleMania is going to be his moment. I think finally they're going to do something with them. Now, it's not going to be main event. It's probably not going to be for a title. Maybe, but ultimately I think they need to do something with them. It seems like you killed two birds with one stone in that scenario. Tell me why that wouldn't work for you.
Okay, personal feelings aside, about Elias here, just strictly looking at it as a wrestling perspective, to me it makes no sense. What is Kurt Angle going to come out on Monday Night Raw and be like, I'm facing Elias? Like,
I think Angle's probably going to get attacked by someone or interrupted by someone, right?
But apparently he's supposed to. They announced this already. Angle's announcing his opponent. So technically that means he would already know who it is. He already made a choice.
Yeah, but we know how wrestling works.
I know, but like, why? Like, what would be the point? He would have to come out there then, about to say something, and Elias attacks him with the guitar. Again, though, why would Elias attack?
Because he wants his WrestleMania moment.
Oh, that would be about it. The Pittsburgh connection, I don't buy. They played it up a little bit on Monday because they were in Pittsburgh, and most people there probably know who he is, know that he's from Plum, blah blah blah. But for the most, he doesn't go around talking he's from Pittsburgh. When he comes out, he's not billed from Pittsburgh. Hell, he doesn't even have an entrance. He always starts in the ring. So to me, it's like, well, why is this happening? Or hell, Shelton Benjamin would have more of a storyline,
But so here's my thing.
Would have more of a reason.
Who is that?
Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Okay. So very quickly, Kurt Angle in this scenario probably should put over a young talent, right? You don't accomplish that with John Cena.
No, but that's more of a mainstream. Like, that's going to get on ESPN. That's going to get on the celebrity channels the next day.
Okay.
And that's all they care about.
Real quick, wrapping up Raw, we saw a new champion. You said typically we don't see this before Mania. It seems like they have something in mind. Bobby Lashley wins the title back from Finn Balor with the help of Lio Rush. This is a little perplexing. Keep in mind, with Brock Lesnar not around, this really is the biggest regular title on Raw. It's been bad. I said it's been bad. It goes from Ambrose to Lashley to Finn to Lashley. The only thing I can think is they did this because they needed this as a necessary step to get to a WrestleMania match. Maybe we get some sort of like fatal four-way or a six-man or something at Mania for this title, but I don't see the purpose of why this happened. It kind of makes Finn look, it kind of takes Finn back to where he was 3 months ago before he got this little push.
You could have made a multi-man match with Finn as a champion, or if he wins it back, why wouldn't you just wait to WrestleMania to give him that title win to make it a little bit more meaningful? I don't get it. It's not like Bobby Lashley set the world on fire with his brief run. You would think it's done with the purpose of something else. What that is, I do not know. Is Finn going to come back and be the demon? Okay, well, I need to be the demon to win the belt back. I don't know.
Then I would have rather had Finn not win in the first place.
Right, I agree. That's what I said. If they were going to do that all along, don't give him the belt to begin with, and then just have him win it at WrestleMania.
So, SmackDown, we already talked about the Kofi thing. He's going to go through a gauntlet match. That could be a good match, but it could also just be, like, to your point, a little too much.
But also tells you what, SmackDown 2-hour show, you think that match is going to be at least an hour?
No, I don't think an hour, because they already did that once, but I think 40 minutes would be my guess.
That means the rest of the storylines are going to be very fast-paced, because you've got about an hour and 10 minutes or so, and maybe only about 55 minutes with commercials, to get things moving there.
So they got things moving, and the other storyline, this is what I kind of want to close on, at least for this week. You know what? I know you're not a huge Randy Orton fan, and I know there's people that are going to be grown this AJ and Randy Orton storyline. I thought that these guys did everything they could on Tuesday to sell this match, to make it interesting. They both cut good promos, and Randy Orton, I think, is a good promo. AJ usually is not, but I thought I saw a little bit more out of AJ. When you really break this down, 2 first ballot Hall of Famers, 2 guys that are still, I would say, towards the end of their prime, but still in their prime, this could be a really good mid-card match at WrestleMania, and they brought up the history between the two, and Randy Orton played the Randy Orton heel, and AJ played, the face with overcoming the odds. I'm not supposed to be here. Randy Orton says, I'm born superior. I've been here all along while you've been, wrestling in front of 50 fans. And they brought up TNA and Ring of Honor. I really thought it was good, and for the people who are maybe on the fence, I think that sold some of them on this match.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good promo between the two. I enjoyed it. The match itself will be interesting. Completely different styles of wrestling between the two, which that's okay. Sometimes different styles actually make for a very good match. I am not a Randy Orton fan in the ring. I think his matches tend to bore me. His style of wrestling bores me.
He truly is, though, what WWE wrestling became about 15 years ago, right? I mean, he's developed that style perfectly, and he's having a very long, successful career because of it.
I think it kind of hurts him a little bit that he came on the scene, at 22?
Yes.
He's been around so long, but he was so young when he started. He's not really that old. But
he's younger than AJ Styles.
But it feels like he should be hanging him up soon because he's been around that long. I mean, he was part of the class with Lesnar and Cena, and he's outlasted all of them. He's been around, and it's like, okay, Randy, what else can he do too? He's done everything. There's nothing new for him to do.
And I think as a result of that, he has to really find a storyline that, there's a lot of teeth in. And I thought him bringing up Dixie Carter, I mean, you're a type of guy who likes that, take that shot and brings up history that usually is taboo, right? I mean, it seemed like these guys, just on that episode alone, without even, laying a hand on each other, sold me on the match.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was a great sell job. 2 pros, 2 guys that have been around that know promos sell tickets. And I think they both did their job in that regards.
So what else stands out from this past week, Justin? I mean, we're now just over 3 weeks away from WrestleMania. I'm going to it. I'm starting to get excited, even though I have my doubts about how it's going to play out.
Sorry.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
What else was something that caught your eye, or what do they need to do from here on out?
The only thing I'm going to say that I kind of touched upon is Asuka. I'm very disappointed in what they're doing with her.
Hey, at least she beat Mandy Rose.
Right. I just think she deserves so much more, and they really dropped the ball on that one. I think she deserved more, and I have no idea what they're going to do with her. at WrestleMania, but whatever it is, it's going to be disappointing.
I agree with that one, Justin. So 2 weeks from now, I want to correct myself because we kind of went back and forth. 2 weeks from now, we're going to have the big anniversary show. There's going to be balloons and cake, and it's going to be terrific. But we still have another week to get to before that. Definitely stay tuned. We're going to have some surprises upcoming for that show. But for now, this is Sean Meyers signing off for my co-host Justin Lowery. You've been watching the 5-Star Podcast of Wrestling. Check us out on Twitter, 5-Star Pod Wrestle. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go back, check out all the videos as we get ready for the road to WrestleMania. We'll see you again next week here on the podcast.